I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
Buy merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear
Eels
listener.
Electroshock Blues is up next on our Negative Vibes stream.
Should be fun.
So let's check it out.
All right, guys, here we go. The Eels Electroshock. Is it electro or electric?
I have Electroshock.
Okay.
Electroshock Blues.
Electro, not electric. You dumb butts. Electroshock Blues. Let's go.
Scared today. Write down, I am okay. 100 times, the doctors say. I am okay. I am okay. I'm not okay. Skin is crawling off, mopping the sweaty drops, sticking around for this shit. Another day, another day, not another day. Pink pill feels good. Finally understood. Take me in your warm embrace. I am trying. I am trying.
Oh my god. That's the whole song?
Yeah.
Ugh. That's depressing.
This one actually, I don't like using the word flashback because that sounds too dramatic for people, but it definitely brought me back to the hospital. I tell everybody that when I was around 18, I spent 6 months on the at the psych ward back in the day.
Can you push your chair that way a little bit?
And I don't love talking about it, but I talk about it as often as I can appropriately because I want to destigmatize mental health issues and encourage people to get help if they need help. There's nothing wrong with saying that you needed help or that you needed to go away and get help for a minute or whatever. I had a 6-month timeout and it saved my life, and it put me on a really good track to be successful for the rest of my life. And I had the really good fortune of having an amazing doctor. Shout out to Dr. Petzel. I literally legit owe you my life. But this song reminds me specifically, well, two things. One, it reminded me of an incident at the hospital, and two, it also reminds me of somebody in our channel. You know, the I'm trying part is a heartbreaker because you know, I think when people have mental illness, you know, it's invisible. You know, I grew up with my mom. My mom was bipolar. So when I started going through my shit, my mother understood what was happening. She didn't trivialize it, and then she knew I was in trouble. She knew I was in trouble before I knew I was in trouble. Because, you know, we had it in our family. And when I was at the deepest parts of it, I used to be terrified. I would be finally like passing out to go to sleep, and I would be terrified because I knew I was going to have to wake up. And then when I woke up, getting that foot down to the ground, I am not shitting you, was like a 35-minute fucking project. Like, that's how hard it was. And people just don't, if you don't have the imbalance of serotonin, whatever, whatever the theory is today as to what the problems are, if you haven't been through that, I can completely understand why at some level the people around you get sick of you. And they would never say this, but they got sick of me. But I'm not mad at them for getting sick of me in the sense of, I probably shouldn't use that terminology. I put them through a lot. It took a lot for them to caretake me in that little period before I ended up in the hospital. I mean, when I was in the hospital, I was on like full-time watch for 50% of the time. Like, I almost couldn't even sleep by myself. So it was a big job, and it was very hard. And it was simple shit like, Vinny, just put your foot on the fucking ground. Like, come on, bro. Like, come on. You can put your foot on the ground. Come on. I couldn't. I just couldn't. But I understand my family, like, having that, like, come on, man. Like, that, you know, they resented me a little bit. But they're human beings. You know what I'm saying? So, like, but I had my mom, and my mom understood what was going on with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, she understood what was going on with me. She understood what I needed. And she got me to where I needed to go because she knew that she couldn't. I mean, my mom was basically the matriarch of the family. So she knew she couldn't sit there and babysit me and take care of me. And again, I was 17, 18 years old. But she knew that she couldn't invest the time because she had other people in her family she had to take care of. I wasn't the only person there. She had a husband that was diabetic and, you know, other things. And, you know, they had to work their stuff out. And then I had a little brother. I also have a big brother down in New York. And so there's a lot of things that she was juggling. She couldn't just carry me. And so, you know, they needed the help. But that line right there, I'm trying, is such a heartbreaker because when I went to the hospital, there were a lot of people that did not have somebody like my mom that understood me for them. They were just looked upon as the family burden. They were looked upon as the whatever, and they had all the resentment, but they didn't have any of the understanding. And I'm trying to be fair to their family because, like I said, it is very, very, very hard to carry somebody at the depths of their whatever, especially a person who hadn't been introduced to any sort of medication or anything like that, because I hadn't been diagnosed officially with anything yet or whatever.
Oh wow.
So I'm saying that, like, not necessarily to defend my family, but in the sense of, like, when you get older, you have an understanding of why people are the way they are, and I got it. My thing is, when I saw that line, there were so many times in group therapy where people would talk about, like, that was one of the major things, was their family not understanding them. And their family thinking that they were exaggerating, or it's like, really? It takes you 35 minutes to get your foot on? Really? You're afraid to go to sleep? Really? Like, people don't understand that. And it was really hard. And there were some people, you know, because Ed was my guy, and Ed had basically been a lifer at that institution. And he said those people, they're he said that this was like his fifth, you know, vacation, he'd call it. And he had about 3 or 4 people that were just gone because they didn't have that kind of, their family was telling them, like, yeah, just get out of bed, figure it out. Yeah. Well, it's not that easy. It's not that easy, but I understand.
I wonder how you
the
get
family.
over, like, because, you know, you can understand people's, you know, patients wearing thin or whatever, but then, like, if the person does something to themselves and you had a short patience for them, or maybe you know they felt like they were exaggerating, or, you know, because I remember when I was working in the hospital, and they had sent me up to I can't remember what floor they called it, but it was where the people are under watch. You know, you have to sit there with them. And I remember, for some reason, they used to let me into conversations I actually shouldn't have been a part of, because I was a CNA. I wasn't a nurse or anything. And I was just supposed to be sitting in there with her, but they let me come out. I think that they thought that I was going to go really far in the medical field, so I think they wanted me to see as much as was going on so I could learn as much, because I always wanted to learn more. And so, you know, they had me out in the hallway, and they were talking about the woman that was in the room, and they said, you know, the professional was saying she's not serious. She's done this many times. Every time she does it, she never goes through with it. And she never will. This is just something that she's doing, you know, for attention, and, you know, she's having issues at home, and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's people will do that, you know, because prior to that, I thought if somebody's doing that, that means, I mean, holy shit, it didn't take, so, well, we got another shot to save this person. That's not, I thought everybody was seriously trying to end their own life. But then the professional said that's not true. So, of course, I believed the professional. And then, you know, within X amount of time, wasn't even that long, she really had died. She really went through with it. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, that professional was so wrong. Like, when I had one attitude when I entered the room, and I had another attitude after I got done talking with the professional. I still gave her I still was kind to her and talked with the lady and, you know, whatever. But in my heart, something had changed, because I thought, oh, this woman is not really, here we are, we have to sit here, and it's taking up all these extra people, but she doesn't really need this help, but she did really need the help. And the professionals failed her in that instance. So that sucked. You know, when I found out that she had really ended her own life. And she had lived just like a couple doors down from somebody that I knew. And so I found out from that person, because she didn't recognize me, but she would, like, come over when I was there. And obviously I recognized her, but you can't say anything. So she would talk to me and talk to the other lady, and
yeah, this was actually about dude's sister. My sister had been in electroshock therapy that actually helped her at the time. After she died, we found some things she had written, something the doctor had told her to write. So this dude's sister died. I'm assuming she didn't, you know.
Oh my God. So the doctor was telling her to write, I am okay. And she was saying, but I'm not okay, in her writings. So she was trying to do the I'm okay.
Well, I don't know if the doctor told her to write "I'm okay" as much as the doctor said, write down what your feelings are pre and post electroshock therapy, because they're very big at telling you to chronicle how you're feeling.
I'm just going by the song. It says, feeling scared today. Write down, I am okay. 100 times the doctors say, I am okay. I'm okay. I am not okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know. Like, that's like the weird psychobabble stuff that I was telling you about. Like, when you go to those places, like, they're all different. It's weird because you would think that there's, like, one way to handle these things. But, like, the doctors were, everybody was a little bit different. Like, the Steve guy, he was more like a no nonsense, look, here are your options type of guy.
Yeah.
Like, that's how he, like my buddy Ed. I mean, he was the second Navy SEAL I'd met, that guy. But with Ed, for example, Ed, you know, he had he was on dialysis. His body was fighting against him, and his big thing was like, I could drop dead any time, because he could. I mean, I tell you that story. He passed out I thought he was done for sure.
Yeah.
And that's when everybody started crowding around me, because everybody knew that was my guy. And they were, and I was the baby on the unit, so, and I wouldn't talk to anybody. I was like, don't touch me, don't talk to me, nothing. And I wouldn't do anything, say anything. I wouldn't cooperate until they let me go see him, because he was, he was downstairs.
Oh, man.
And I said, I'm not talking to any of you. I'm done. You're not doing nothing. Like, I'll get violent. Don't fucking touch me, nothing. And they let me in my room. Like, they suspended a couple of rules and let me in my room. They even let me play my guitar after that whole other thing happened. Yeah, I was not in good shape, because he was the first person that talked to me. Like, he kind of took me under his wing, like, he was my first, like, gay friend or whatever. And, like, I was like, yo, I'm like, I'm not trying to hear none of this shit. Not even Dr. Petzel could get through to me. Like, I wasn't listening to anybody. That was my best friend at the time.
Yeah.
But but there was also the psychobabble people, like, I'm okay, you're okay type of.
Yeah, but do you think that
shit
works for some? Like, every personality is different. Like, somebody probably needs the militant guy. Somebody else needs the Dr. Petzel. Somebody else needs the,
I think Dr. Petzel would have been good for anybody.
Yeah.
Just to be honest with you, just the way that she was. Maybe it was just for me, but she had a combination of, like, she knew her shit, she knew her chemicals, she knew her chemistry, but she also had really good bedside manner, and she was just very. And I don't know, it was probably easy to do that with me, because I was the baby on. They put me up there with the, it was, we used to say we're the real, because we really try to kill ourselves, not like you people on the other floor that are just fucking around. Where everybody was proud of it, like, yeah, we're real, it's ridiculous subculture. But I did have, believe it or not, there were people that had electroshock therapy there. And I remember I go to Ed, I'm like, this girl, because the other thing is that people lie so much on that unit, you would not believe. Like, about everything. Like, oh, one guy told me he was a big NASA guy, and like from the beginning to the end, NASA, he's going to the moon, blah, 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 blah.
Did he believe it himself?
I have no idea.
Did he know he was lying?
That's when Ed started with the nonsense. That's what he'd say. Hey, he'd call me over. He'd say, listen, don't believe any of this nonsense. He's never been to the moon. The only moon he's seen is his own ass. Like whatever. But they did have electroshock therapy, though.
Wow.
They never suggested it to me. I never did it. If Dr. Petzel would have told me, hey, we got this electroshock therapy, what do you think? I would have been like, well, I would have done anything she said. But she kept me away from that. But I've had family members,
That's so funny. There's literally nothing that somebody could tell me to convince me to do that.
They said it worked.
Oh, hell no.
They said it worked, but that it's one of those kind of weird things where you have to keep doing it, though. It's not like a one-stop shop, so I don't really understand like what the thing is. But apparently this girl she had her own, love you honey, she had her own bouts with electroshock therapy. And that's the really fucked up part, is that it worked. But I'm assuming that she didn't make it. And one of the things, I'm rambling here, but this song kind of just brought me back to Maine General. And I don't have negative feelings about my stay there. I think it was, like I said, I'm very grateful for it. But one of the things that's weird to me is, so one of the Judds just died last week, and I love the way that
who?
The Judd, the Judds, Winona Judd and all. She's a country singer. I told you about it when it happened. Well, they said on Facebook, our mother, we lost our mother to mental illness today.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, that's such a different way of saying it than our mother killed herself.
Yep.
I think that's such a gracious way of putting it, because if I had the if she had the opportunity, and I'm speaking for a person that I've never met in my life, but she'd probably say yes. If she had an opportunity to just snap her fingers and that torment that she was dealing with would be lifted from her and she could be with her daughters and her grandkids, she'd take that in a heartbeat. What people don't understand is, like, if you've done it for years, you've grinded out waking up for years, and it's just, you hit a wall. It's just kind of like the marathon. Like a lot of times it's 26 miles, guys doing good. There comes a time when, like, you literally hit a wall where you cannot go anymore. It's just, you hit a mental wall. It's called a wall, and that's it. You're done. Happens in fighting. It happens, whatever. People hit a wall. And what happened with me is I looked into the future, which is one of the reasons why I don't do a lot of planning. I looked into the future, and I was like, you got another 75 years of this, my guy. And I was like, I'm not doing this for another 75. I'm out. And so I like that they said, our mother was killed by mental illness. It's a lot. It's a way to honor the person for hanging on as long as they did, and fighting to stay with their family as long as they did, and fighting to stay along with their kids, and fighting to try to find some way, find some sort of hope. And if a person's going as far as doing electroshock therapy, which it seems to be this weird, like, old school asylum type there, if you're willing to go to those extremes to try to get yourself right, and it doesn't work, it's hard, and so go ahead.
I think the other thing too is saying we lost her due to mental illness is also, like, if more people said it that way, then maybe it would help people see, like, okay, if somebody has mental illness, they are struggling, so help them. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And also for other people to realize, wait a minute, if I don't get my mental illness under wraps, then that could end up being my end as well. Because there are sometimes people have mental illnesses, a lot of times, they start taking their meds, they start feeling better, and then they think they don't need their meds, and then they come off their meds.
Yep, that's another one.
So, kind of having an understanding that, well, I do have mental illness, I do need this medicine, and I could be lost also.
Yeah.
My mental illness if I don't continue with this medicine that is actively helping me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that shit, man. It's a good song. It's hard. The guy lost his sister, and that was one of the biggest things that God gave me. The first time I experienced a close person getting taken out by mental illness. Obviously, you have all the, like, oh, how, and once a year this comes up on the channel where it's like, there's nothing on this side of eternity that's ever gonna make me be like, yeah, I handled that the way I should have handled it. Like, there were clear and obvious signs, like, obvious. Like, she went to visit us, and then she started sending all the shit from her daughter, which was my my wife at the time, my ex now. All this shit from, because she collected everything from her daughter, because her daughter was her whole world. And every day after she left, there was a box every day with all of her daughter's stuff in it. And I, it's like, how could you not know?
I know that nothing on this side is going to help you, but she did say that she was moving, and so, somebody could have thought, okay, so she's just shipping the stuff here, so that way she has less to move. Like, there are other explanations for that behavior. I understand you're never going to let yourself off for that.
But my point is, so it's really funny, like, the way God deals with me, because he didn't really engage in an argument with me about, well, you should have done this, you should have done that. All he said was, how do you know that she wasn't around longer because of you?
Yeah.
And that was it.
Wow.
So that's how I get myself out of those funks. So I get in a cycle. How could I let that happen? How did I miss this? How did I miss that? Blah, blah, blah. Then you pull back. But she was here longer because of you. And that's just the way I looked at it. So if you have a family member or whatever that pieced out, and you feel like, whatever, it's like, I don't know, bro. Maybe they were here. Maybe they'd have been gone a lot sooner if you were not on the planet. Anyway, it's a silent count for me. Rest in peace to this guy's sister. I hope.
Yeah.
I'm confident she found the piece she was looking for, inshallah, because she obviously tried. That's a big thing for me. Is just like, I understand how hard it is to, like, as a survivor, like, I understand how hard it is to care for people with mental illness. Just try to give them some grace and know that they are trying. It doesn't look like it, but trust me, if they got their feet on the ground after they woke up, they're trying. And I know you're trying too. So you're not a horrible person for resenting that caretaker role. You're not bad for that. It's okay to feel that way. I hope you understand that. It's okay to feel that way. Because everybody has limits and you're just a human being. You're not an infinite resource. But my point is, just try to, if they say they're trying, believe them, they're trying. And you know what? You, as the caretaker, have a very thankless job. I was not very good to my mother in that span of time at all. I mean, she saved my life. She saved other people's lives too. But it was a very thankful, I never really talked about that period of time with my mother, actually.
Yeah. I think the other thing too is a lot of times people within the vicinity of somebody who has mental illness probably has some mental illness of their own, especially 100%. If there's some relation. So
100%.
Those people are dealing with their own mental illness plus trying to help you. So I don't know. I think yeah. Mm-hmm. Everybody has to have a little bit more grace for each other, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. But people are very, very hard on themselves, especially if it doesn't turn out well. Hey, Vlad's in the house. Hey, Vlad. Yeah, you do have to take care of your mental health, yeah, you do. That's why I haven't shot a Middle America show in a couple days, and, Anyway, okay, silent count. I'm out of this review. Let's go.
I agree. Silent count.
All right, it's that was a good song. It was well worth it. Long discussion for a 2.5 minute song, but what can you do? It's Vin and Sori, y'all. Stay tuned. Don't touch that dial. We're coming right back. Vin out.
Sori out.
Go.